fine. I remember telling a buddy of mine I was gonna learn how to wheelie in a week. Yeah, so much for that. I didn't respect the sport like I should have, and I almost lost my life because of it. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I'm here with Miss Megan. We're just going to get some dinner tonight. Ooh, there's a cop. That's a great way to start it. Hopefully he's got better things to do than worry about us. Damn, another one? They're looking for us. I know! I know! But what I wanted to talk about today, so I actually put a poll up on my Instagram a couple weeks ago, and it was about a story time, and it was pretty much dead center down the middle of how I got into stunt riding versus my femur accident. And the femur story got a couple more votes than how I got into riding did, so I'm gonna start with that. Megan's on a CRF 110. It's a shreddy bike. She won it, which is super cool. What better way to get to know you guys and have you guys get to know me rather than explain one of the most traumatic and quite frankly influential things that's ever happened to me. Back in 2018, I had just moved away from home. I lived in Nevada for a little bit. I had just gotten out there. Just recently figured out what stunt riding was. I didn't even know it was a thing, honestly, and I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, looking ready to start. I had a ZX-10 at the time. Didn't have a stunt bike or anything like that, but man, oh man, did I want one. I met this group of guys and just the whole community out there that really welcomed me in as one. Yeah, they welcomed me in, and I actually went to ROC. That's a huge ride that used to go on, but it doesn't anymore. But I went to that ride, and this happened quite literally 3 days after I got home. The ride changed my life. It was the first time I had seen a stunt ride, and after that I was like, man, I gotta do this. I was riding a 2013 636. It had everything. It had a tank, sprocket, handbrake, everything you could imagine, everything a stunt bike would need necessarily, or a lot bike at least. So I was riding that, and I was determined to learn how to wheelie. I wanted to learn. I remember telling a buddy of mine I was gonna learn how to wheelie in a week. Yeah, so much for that. I was eager to learn, but I didn't really have the respect for the sport that I should have, and how dangerous it really is, and how bad you can really get hurt doing this. Beautiful Texas sunset, we love that. But anyways, so I was at the lot one night, and I was practicing. You know, I was a little off to the side, just little baby pop-ups, you know, when you first start learning. And yeah, I was off to the side trying to stay out of everybody's way, new girl in town, not really knowing how to wheelie, and it was on somebody else's bike, which makes this story 10 times worse. But I was popping it up. I lost control. I hit one of those that pop up a little too high. Let me see it. Let me see the work. You're good. Yeah. You're good. Let's go, Megan. She's killing it. She's gotten so much better. Good job. And I popped one up that was a little too high, and I scared myself. You know, I wasn't really comfortable, and it was one that was quite literally the highest I've ever done, kind of like an oh shit moment. I lost control. I chased it into the lot that we were at had loading docks, and there was a dumpster in front of this loading dock. I popped it up and I chased it out, and I ended up clipping this dumpster with the cage. I hit it like this, so the bike quite literally rotated clockwise. This is what the story I was told. I just saw a tank spinning and a bike and loud noises and whatever, but I was told that I hit the dumpster and the bike hit it and went clockwise, and then when I landed, I whiskey throttled because I got scared and I didn't know what had happened, and I ended up smoking it was about maybe like a 5-foot wall next to it, and that completely snapped my femur in half. I should warn just ahead of time, there's a lot of surgery and trauma and like blood. I'm gonna show some photos of it, so if that's not really for you or it makes you queasy, I would definitely skip those parts or just wait until the next video. But yeah, so I clipped the dumpster or the wall next to it, and that broke my femur completely in half. And if you don't know, your femur is the largest bone in your body and also the hardest bone to break in your body. It takes about 900 pounds of force to snap a femur bone completely in half, and mine was a clean break. It didn't splinter. It wasn't a little hairline fracture. I completely snapped it in half just like a twig. I have a huge scar on my leg that goes across my entire quad, and that wasn't from the bone coming through. So after I hit the wall, the momentum of the bike threw me over the front of it, kind of like a mousetrap where I flipped over the front of the bars. And my handbrake, it was a little nub just like this one is here. My handbrake went into my quad as I flipped, so as I went over, it completely tore my leg open all the way down to the bone and then some.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
Why did the chicken cross the road, Megan? Why?
Fuck, I forgot.
Megan! That was your moment to shine!
Oh,
Try it.
Idiot's house. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Knock knock.
Who's there?
The chicken.
Wow.
I'm filing a fucking lawsuit. I hit the dumpster. I spun clockwise on the bike because it hit the cage. I'll put photos of the bike in. I broke a steel frame completely in half in 3 different spots. Flipped over the front, and the handbrake went into my leg and ripped my quad open all the way down to my bone. I remember everything. Honestly, I remember from the moment the tank was in my face, the sound of a power wheelie. I knocked myself unconscious. I remember turning, coming to, obviously, and I've never screamed like that ever in my life. I've never had something force its way out of my mouth, like a yell or scream or something out of sheer terror, and it quite literally forced itself out. I remember feeling the lump in my throat and trying to hold it back, and it quite literally forced itself out of my mouth. The friends that I had there said that it was like a horror movie, that they're pretty spot on. It was blood curdling. I went to sit up, and my buddy, the one that saved my life, pushed on my chest, and he said, "Don't look." And he turned to where his body was blocking me, so I couldn't see. So I never actually saw my wound, thankfully, so I wouldn't go into shock, because usually when somebody's in an accident like that where they hurt themselves, they go into shock when they see the injury. He put a tourniquet on my leg, and I couldn't feel my right leg, and all I remember is feeling totally at peace. Honestly, I was in so much shock, and I had so much adrenaline that I didn't really realize what had happened. All I knew is I tried to move my leg and I couldn't move it. It was the middle of the night. I was staring up at the sky, and I remember thinking about everything that I had ever been through. I thought about my family, the people I cared about the most, the people I loved, and memories just replayed in my head. The paramedics ended up showing up, thank God. There were actually a couple riders on the street that turned into the lot. As the cop was talking to them, they were pointing at me, and he ran over and was able to actually help the ambulance, the EMTs, find me, because we were in a lot, and the 911 operator couldn't, they were having trouble finding us, basically. So I sat there for about 15 minutes. The EMT came and he got me. I was loaded onto a stretcher, and they put me in the back of the ambulance. They stabilized me. I had surgery. I was okay, and they ended up stitching me up. They ended up putting a titanium rod that is the entire length of my femur, as well as 2 bolts that go into my hip joint and 1 that goes into my knee. There was a chunk missing out of my leg. The fat that covers your muscle was gone. I had to get a skin graft. Modern medicine is so amazing that they didn't have to take it from anywhere. It was this new technology. I don't know exactly the ins and outs, but it was basically like a net, and they said it was basically like a fish scale type thing. Like whatever was on this net was similar to how fishes like grow their skin or something. I don't know. So maybe I'm part fish now.
Wow.
I don't know, but pretty much it gave my skin a pathway to grow back to itself. I was walking in 3 months, and I was riding again in 6. The doctor told me the next day that I had about 75 seconds to live. If it wasn't for my friend putting the tourniquet on my leg that night, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys today. When they say your life flashes before your whole eyes, it really does. And at least for me, I thought about everybody that's ever loved me, and vice versa, and everybody I've ever loved. And he saved my life, because the EMTs took about 15 minutes to find me. So If it wasn't for him, I would have been dead on scene. I can walk, I can ride. Thankfully, I didn't lose my legs. Some people are less fortunate than I am. I'm really, really grateful for that because, you know, not everybody gets that lucky. I didn't respect the sport like I should have, and I almost lost my life because of it. And I was given a second chance, and I'm really so grateful for that every day. I definitely didn't respect the time and the seat time it takes to get into stunt riding and really learn the sport. I definitely didn't respect it like I should have. Try to use my story as a warning for others. I try to use it as a be careful, you know what I mean? Where is this girl going? When people are starting off, I highly recommend learning on a little bike because freak accidents do happen, and you know, unfortunately I was the one who drew the short end of the stick on this one. You know, everybody has to. This girl's wild. I love how I'm telling you guys this like serious story and she's pulling a shopping cart. There she goes. A little fast? I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to. Ooh, look at this clutch work.
Okay, I'm scared.
It's fine. Try to use my story as not so much as a pity story, because I don't want pity. I just want people to learn from my mistakes. You know, it's not impossible to learn how to wheelie on a big bike. It's really not. Just be aware of the risks that come with it, because I wasn't, and I was eager to learn, but I thought that I could learn quickly and I didn't really have to put in the seat time like everybody else. That's where I was sorely mistaken, and it truly almost cost me my life. I'm not a perfect human being by all means. I make my mistakes and we've all done our wrong. So beyond grateful that I was given a second opportunity and to do what I love and to continue to ride. And my mom, good God, the look on her face is something I'll never forget. I'll never forget the way that woman looked at me. It was the most horrified thing I've ever seen in my life. And I feel awful for what I put her through. I'm not trying to be sappy, but if I'm going to do this right, I want you guys to know the real me, and I want to be vulnerable. I wanted to ride again, and that's all I was thinking about was, when do I get to get back on the bike? When can I learn this? Because after that wreck, I was more determined than ever to learn how to wheelie. And I'd be lying if I said it wasn't hard. You know, I used to have night terrors. You know, I used to wake up screaming in the middle of the night. The sound of a power wheelie, the chasing of a wheelie, that noise, you know, I would go to the lot when I could. I'm turning the bike off, and because I really want to explain to you guys, you know, and have you learn from my story and my mistakes. Like I said, you know, I didn't lose my leg, but it did change my life. It's over now, you know. You learn to cope with it, and that trauma eventually gets so small that it doesn't bother you anymore. And if anything, it becomes a motivator. Now, granted, when I get on the bike, I do shake still. You know, there's going to be some things that I think are going to be stuck with me for the rest of my life, and I have a scar as a reminder of that. But you live on. You learn to live with it. You know, you're not made of glass, and what really defeats you is if you quit. I would suggest learning on something smaller to avoid something so traumatic happening. And like I said, not everybody pulls the short end of the stick. So don't take this as like, oh, this could happen, because, you know, anything could happen. You could get in your car tomorrow and you could get T-boned. My accident was 100% avoidable. That was my choice, you know. That was due to my arrogance, due to my eagerness, due to me not really thinking about the consequences of what I was doing. It gets better, you know, if you're hurt and you have been hurt and you're fighting yourself, and it gets better. You just can't quit, man. Because if you quit, that's when you lose. Just do it right, man. Learn the proper way. Don't cut corners. Respect it. If you take away anything from this video, just be smart. Learn how to ride. Practice correctly. And really take the time to learn the sport. Because it'll be worth it in the end. Don't be stupid. Don't be arrogant. You know, keep your ego in check. Keep yourself in check. Mind your words. And just stay positive, man. As corny as that sounds, stay positive and don't give up, you know. Don't quit. The only time that you really and truly lose in life, at least in my opinion, or any situation, is when you give up. And not even give up on the situation, but give up on yourself. So don't give up on yourself, man, you know, no matter what you go through. Thank you guys so much for spending this time with me today, spending this time with myself and Megan. I hope you have a great rest of your week, day. You know, stay happy, stay positive. Life is good. Life is a blessing, and don't ever take any minute for granted, man, because you really don't know when your whole life could be taken away from you. Let me know what y'all want to see in the future. I love every single one of you. Thank you for supporting me and listening to my story today. I hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you all in the next one.